Keir Starmer is facing the greatest crisis of his career as Douglas Murray, the leading figure of last week's massive protest in London, rises to prominence. Amidst the swelling anger of thousands of citizens, Starmer is not only cornered, but also subjected to sharp attacks from Murray, threatening to completely dismantle the image of a Prime Minister who always claims to work for the people. Today, we will discuss this issue in detail in our video. But first, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the latest political news from across the country. In central London, a powerful wave of protests has erupted, echoing the loud chants of thousands gathering in front of the police. The crowd shouted, "You have let the country down, and that is truly sad." This strong statement reflects the growing frustration of the public. Among the crowd, emotions ran high. The British people felt betrayed and cornered. Political commentator Douglas Murray has fiercely criticised the Prime Minister's complacency towards multiculturalism, warning that if the government does not take specific measures, extremists will continue to threaten democracy. Murray's perspective touches on the core issue many British citizens are concerned about: integration. Many no longer wish to integrate. He points out the paradox of a nation with a rich history bowing to extreme liberalism, self-proclaiming itself as a paradise for the world. According to him, this is a matter of preserving identity, and the government has not only mismanaged it, but has also undermined it by sidelining the cultures and values that have shaped England. He implies that the Prime Minister needs to confront these tensions rather than suppress them if he wants to prevent future societal fractures. If there had been a protest by the British National Party outside the House of Commons last week, any of us would easily condemn such an act. No one wants thugs threatening their representatives, let alone intimidating them. In such situations, no one would find it difficult to express condemnation. There would be no need to call on other groups to seek consensus on this. Condemnation would come naturally. So why is it so different now? Douglas Murray emphasises that decisive action against extremism is essential to protect social stability. When leaders are indecisive or slow to respond, they risk encouraging extremist groups due to the misconception that threats and divisive tactics can be tolerated. According to him, leaders must confront these groups with wisdom and unwavering determination. This is how to demonstrate strength to reassure the public and maintain the integrity of the government. He calls for fearless action. He stresses that current leaders may be swayed by social or political pressures, which hinder their ability to confront extremism head-on. Murray argues that true leadership must prioritise accountability over political expediency or appeasement, warning that allowing fear of backlash to dominate final decisions will harm the nation's core values and principles. Hesitance in dealing with extremism not only fails to prevent extremist actions, but also weakens the moral foundation upon which society relies. Douglas Murray highlights that publicly condemning extremism is not just a call to action, it is also a way to restore public trust. According to Murray, when leaders take a clear stance against those threatening the stability of society, they send a strong message that the government is determined to protect the safety of citizens and shared values. He argues that this straightforwardness is essential to maintain trust in leadership, while also ensuring that those who choose to threaten and harm will face accountability swiftly. The reality is that both members of Parliament, the Speaker, the Prime Minister and others are being threatened without a clear identification of the problem. Many believe that the approach of some politicians today has become outdated and no longer relevant. Instead of merely emphasising the good in the past, the more pressing question now is, what will be done to address urgent issues? Rishi Sunak's response regarding the country facing record levels of immigration, while only speaking about England as a great free nation, fails to tackle the actual problem. Many people no longer wish to integrate into British society, and this is something that needs to be acknowledged immediately. Many individuals have no intention of becoming part of England. Furthermore, When Rishi Sunak and other politicians speak about this country, they often regard it merely as an expression of liberalism or diversity, failing to recognise that this has not always been the reality of its history. England was not diverse until about 60 years ago, and certainly does not resemble what it is today, especially since the Labour Party's election in 1997. However, this country has a long and rich history that is now being overlooked. England cannot be simplistically reduced to a hyper-liberal landing spot for the world. This is simply not accurate. Douglas Murray also argues that current multiculturalism is causing more division than unity. According to him, it lacks the cohesive framework necessary to build a common national identity. The absence of integration creates a favourable environment for extremist ideologies, which can exploit social fractures to stir resentment, suspicion, and even extremism. Murray contends that when multicultural policies overly emphasise cultural differences without reinforcing common social bonds, communities risk becoming isolated from the larger national narrative, creating opportunities for extremists to exploit easily. Murray has placed the burden on the Prime Minister, calling for decisive action to confront the challenges posed by multiculturalism. He believes that only strong proactive leadership from the highest levels can establish policies that ensure multiculturalism promotes unity rather than division. For him, the Prime Minister needs to develop a model that honours diversity within the framework of shared British values, creating a society that is both culturally rich and tightly knit. Murray's concerns do not stop there. He also warns of the long-term consequences of ignoring these issues. If immediate action is not taken, British society could fall into deep division along cultural lines, providing opportunities for extremist elements to incite discontent. By acting now, the government can prevent future instability and build a more unified society capable of withstanding ideological and social upheaval. In summary, Murray's argument sees multiculturalism as a double-edged sword, an asset if managed wisely, but also a potential risk if left unchecked. He advocates for a form of multiculturalism based on common identity, where cultural diversity enriches rather than fragments social unity. For Murray, effective leadership is not only necessary but crucial to achieving a balanced, inclusive and resilient England. This call is not just a mere slogan. This reflects a clear manifestation of public disappointment as people feel that their core values have been overlooked. This sense of devaluation has accumulated over various points in time. For many protest participants, the current approach of politicians is viewed as an acceptance of radical agendas that serve a narrow group of voters, while neglecting the traditional concerns that the general public agrees with. The central message of the protesters revolves around the belief that the Prime Minister's policies have weakened British sovereignty and eroded long-standing values. For supporters of Unite the Kingdom, the Prime Minister's stance on key issues is seen as undermining unity and identity, which many consider essential for a stable England. This resistance expresses a strong desire to reaffirm national identity and reclaim a sense of sovereignty that many believe is gradually being lost. Beneath this surface lies a series of specific complaints related to immigration and freedom of speech. Critics argue that the Prime Minister's policies have led to uncontrolled immigration while restricting open debates, particularly on topics often deemed politically incorrect in the UK. The message from the crowd in Raleigh is clear. People demand strong policies to protect borders and the freedom to express opinions without fear of punishment. The protest exposes the profound divide between the leadership class and ordinary citizens, reflecting a growing dissatisfaction with the disparity in views and priorities of both sides. Those opposing Starmer argue that his policies favour an international elite, completely alienating the working class and patriots who uphold traditional values. This separation is widening, intensifying the urgent need for a leader who truly listens to the voices of those feeling sidelined by the current Labour Party. This creates immense pressure, forcing Starmer to retreat from Raleigh, showcasing a marked shift in the political landscape. What do people think about the issues we have discussed in today's video? Please leave your comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to stay updated with the latest information on the political situation in the UK. Thank you all, and see you in the next videos.